Welcome to The Full Experience. This is the show where we watch 4 episodes of a TV series to see if we can get a handle on the entire run of the TV series. We watch the first and the last episodes, but we also look at the IMDb ratings and pick the ultimate and the lowest episode. And this week, we are watching the worst episode of Taxi, according to the ratings on IMDb, Season 4, Episode 2, Vienna Waits, from October 15th, 1981. I'm Tom Merritt. He's Brian Brushwood. Brian.
Hey, man. So one of my favorite things about the Full Experience is that we get to figure out, why is this the worst? What is so terrible about it? And I had made the pitch that I was convinced that Vienna Waits was going to be a clip show, that they were going to be like stuck
in an
airport or something like that. Turns out it is a perfectly fine standalone episode, Tom. I thought, I could not believe this was a substantial answer to a will they, won't they kind of thing. And it ends up being a friendly fling in Europe. Where there are different set pieces. There's actual interesting, self-reflection on the nature of friendships that are something more, especially a May-December kind of thing. A neurotic lout who just, has romantic visions. And I don't know. I thought it was kind of adorable and wonderful. Now, granted, I watched it on a phone on an airplane, so maybe that had something to do with it, but this seemed fine.
I mean, I watched it on my couch with no interruptions or distractions on a big old TV. And my final note was, that was sweet. If that's the worst Taxi was pretty good.
Yeah, I agree. And maybe it got dinged just for being same. And I would imagine some people would throw in some 1-star reviews because they wanted it to be more firmly, they get married and go off into the sunset,
sure.
Or they decided, or maybe there's a puritanical casual sex not okay
maybe
thing. I don't know.
I don't think Taxi's viewership would have minded that so much, but maybe. I was wondering if, the fact that they basically gave Danny DeVito and Tony Danza and Christopher Lloyd their contractually obligated lines, and then the rest of the show was Judd Hirsch and Mary Lou Henner. Maybe people were like, oh, I don't want just those two. I want the whole crew. I don't want them to be in Europe. I want them to be in New York. Like, maybe people just didn't like that they went somewhere else and limited who we got to see.
You know what?
Wonder if
That's
part
a good theory. So let's try that on for size. If you ask people who have watched all of Taxi to describe their 20 favorite plot lines, I wouldn't be surprised if not even on that list was the Judd Hirsch, Mary Lou Henner aspect to it. So if that's the case, then it's just a reflection of it being the least popular plot line, and then an entire episode about it.
Right. And it's like, I didn't like that plot line all that much. And going back to your theories, maybe it's that they didn't get together or they didn't have a falling out. At the end, they just kind of stayed friends, right?
You know what? Also, you spend an awful lot of that episode just being sad for Judd Hirsch.
Right. Yeah.
Maybe that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. I also considered the possibility that the tropes about Europe here are so dated that I'm like, yeah, okay, it's from 1981. These are old ways of looking at Europe. Maybe they were old in 1981 and people were digging it for that too. And like, no, this is a dumb way to look at Europe.
You're right. Early 80s, it's around the time to subvert. You probably should be thinking of more than baguettes when you think of France.
Yeah, and sexy Greeks and Greek fishermen or whatever that was supposed to be. Like there were some moments that I'm like, okay, this guitar, playing Vienna Waits, and then we actually get the Billy Joel Vienna Waits right after. I'm like,
what's funny is I'm sure we went through the same thing where it's like, I'm like, oh, couldn't have paid for the license, could you? And they're like, apparently you could.
Oh, but you did. So yeah. I don't know. This was the first time I noticed that the drive across the bridge in the opening credits is a few seconds edited in a loop until the very end.
I didn't notice that.
Yeah, I hadn't noticed it till this viewing, but I was like, wait, I think I saw a jump. And it's like, yeah, there's like a couple of seconds of them coming across the bridge and then turning, but they loop it until you get to the end of the theme music, and then you let them go do the turn. So I was
How very Ed Wood of them.
I know.
to use the whole Buffalo.
Yeah, there was a stupid line from Danny DeVito about being on your back with the Sistine Chapel. That's fine.
It's fine.
I don't think that makes it the worst episode of Taxi.
What's funny is that line seems very spicy for Taxi, as I think of it as a 70s institution, but it seems very tame if I tell you it's an 80s sitcom
81
gag.
Obviously, the hilariously big coach seats on the plane
are
always fun.
Flight.
Yeah, was the Rubik's Cube like product placement?
No, that was Pac-Man and Rubik's Cube.
I know it was huge, but yeah.
No, it was.
Was that just a joke
huge.
that it was so huge even Judd Hirsch would take it on his romantic trip to Europe with him?
It was so huge that it was considered a net positive for the story to mention. It would be like 6-7.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Which, by the way, next year's seniors will be the class of 2026-2027 or 06-07. It was pointed out to me today. This was fine. This was a fine episode. I like the way they start. It was telegraphed and I knew where it was going, but I still liked it. That it's like Judd Hirsch is like, well, I might be off doing all my own things and you'll be left alone. And then of course they flipped it and she was off doing all her own things and he was left alone.
Well, and I think also we're kind of, maybe that's part of the reason that it was poorly rated was because we're at the sunset. They're acting. If this was 1960s, MASH or whatever, the trope of the male centric vision of the romantic image would have been just fine. But I think it had aged out a bit in 81, and it was a little bit late to say, what a surprise, the woman.
And also, a lot of these IMDb ratings are coming now, right? It's it's not like IMDb was around in 81 to collect these ratings. So this is all being rated through a modern perspective for the most part.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is its sentiment was just a bit aged out.
Yeah, I can see that. But again, I hold to it. If this is the worst Taxi's got to offer, Taxi was a pretty great show.
And not for nothing, yes, we all smelled the jealousy coming. They foreshadowed it very, very well in advance. But by the end, I didn't know if a casual hookup would be on the menu or whatever. I was as surprised and delighted as Judd Hirsch was.
Well, maybe not quite as
good for
delighted.
You get to touch a lady.
Yeah, but I'm happy for him, if nothing else. All right, so we are almost to the end of our drive through Taxi. We are going to watch the last episode of Taxi, season 5, episode 24, Simka's Monthlies. Simka is, of course, Latka's love interest, which I think we saw her briefly. She's played by Carol Kane. I think we saw her briefly once, but we haven't really been formally introduced. But that is the name of the final episode from June 1983, Simka's Monthlies.
Awesome.
All right. If you'd like to get these episodes a little earlier than Simka's Monthlies, or even earlier than other people who get them as a regular podcast, become a patron, which you can do at patreon.com/Cordkillers. There's no excuse. You will take you like 2 seconds. So if you're not already a patron, just go do it right now. Patreon.com/Cordkillers. And then you'll feel so much better when you come back next time for an early look at the final episode of the full experience of Taxi, Simka's Monthlies. Until then, may all of your driving be safe driving.
Yeah. Bye.